Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a very overdue tier list video. Now, a lot has changed since this last tier list was made. It's severely outdated. And as you can see, there are 3 killers that have been released since then. I actually did this tier list right as Gordon got released. So, a lot has changed since then. So, without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Now, the decision we have to make real quick is, do we jump into assigning the new killers, or do we fix this list that has obviously changed significantly? I think we'll change the list first, and then we'll add the new ones to it. So, the first thing, I'm going to start from the top here. The first thing I'm seeing is Nurse on par with Spirit. No, that's just not the case. It's simply not the case anymore. There is no way on God's earth that you should ever even consider the Nurse when the Spirit exists, because the Spirit is so easy. She doesn't actually have counters. She might theoretically have the sound of her footsteps, but most matches that doesn't work, and also the chase music for some reason doesn't stop when she goes invisible, so you don't even hear it for some reason. So there literally is not a counter to her, and she has her, well, lots of people like to say, her mind game, where she stands still and doesn't use her ability. It's not a mind game. It's just, once again, how broken that character is. And obviously since then the Nurse has been nerfed. She's only really, in my opinion, worth playing if you have the 2 cooldown reduction add-ons. If you have anything other than those 2, she's just not even worth playing. She was already, you know, difficult to sort of pick over the Spirit, even before the nerf, just because of how easy Spirit is and how hard Nurse is, but ever since that nerf, there's just no reason for it. Now, Billy has also been nerfed since then, but although they did go a little too aggressive with it initially, they've since stepped back a bit with the overheating mechanic, and I don't think his place has really changed. Sure, he definitely is not as good, but I don't think he's like a whole tier different. I think he's still roughly the same. Obviously, the Nurse is better than Billy any day of the week, but I think they're both in the category of strong. If we assume that Nurse has her best add-ons every time, then maybe she could be Spirit level, but once again, she's so much harder to play than Spirit, and Spirit's just so much more reliable. Maybe you guys could argue that the right thing to do would be to put Nurse at S+ and then Spirit at SS, because SS is pretty much quit the match tier. Like, if you see you're against that killer, you might as well quit. And that's pretty much how it goes with the Spirit. You might as well just fucking quit, because you're not winning. Maybe that's arguably the right decision to make. I don't know. I think I'll leave it like this for now, because SS was designed to be the tier in which, like, you'll never lose. But, like, the thing is, with how fast gens go, it is still possible to beat a Spirit, even if she's like a sweaty tryhard one. It's still possible purely because of how fast gens go. It's a difficult decision to make, but I think I'll stick with this. Let me know how you feel in the comments. I might actually change this throughout later in the video. Right, let's head down to S-. We're seeing Huntress, Hag, and Gordon. So, Huntress, I think she's, you know, there's no doubt about that. She's pretty much in the right place. First thing that I'm saying immediately is Gordon is not on par with those 2. Theoretically, he's quite good because he can zone really well by holding right click and not actually pouncing. But for some reason, in my experience, and everyone I've spoken to also agrees with this, for some reason Gordon has this issue where every match the gens go faster with him than any other killer. And I don't understand why. Even if he used Corrupt and Pop Goes a Weasel, for some reason Gordon's matches are always the shortest. I don't actually understand why. I have no idea as to why that could be, but I'm going to put him down to above average, because although he has that zoning and the teleport is not great. It gives the survivors way too much information, and although I really like the pounce, like I really like it, it's one of my favourite abilities in the game, just because of how fast gens go with him, I'm going to put him down here. I literally, out of 100 matches with Gordon, I'd say 98 of them just get gen rushed to fuck, and I don't know why. I don't have this issue with any other killer. Now, the other thing we're looking at on S- is going to be Hag. Now, Hag, I feel like she's very hit or miss. To be honest, Hag could probably be just S in general, but she could also be A-. depending on the scenario. The issue with Hag is literally flashlights. Back in the day, I used to say that, you know, people overreacted. Flashlights aren't that huge of an issue for Hag, but after playing her more and more, I've noticed that I will, like, it's just, flashlights really fuck her, like, a lot. I don't know, I want to keep her here because she does have the potential to perform super, super well, but the flashlights can absolutely annihilate her. And then we also have the issue of, as soon as she's carrying a survivor to a hook, a survivor's just going to sprint through and set off her entire web and reset her. So, I don't... Like, theoretically, Hag can do really well, but there's just some really strong counters that... I mean, the flashlight isn't every match, but the fact that you can just sprint through and set off her whole web, or not her whole web, but a lot of it, while she's carrying someone to the hook, it hurts her a lot. Because good players are going to do that every time she downs someone, so I'm not too sure. I want to put her lower because of how potent those counters are, but the thing is, there's such a significant portion of players that also don't use that counter. Obviously, everyone and their mum uses the fucking flashlights against Hag, that's the first thing they do, but in lobbies where there aren't flashlights, she seems to do really well because people don't think to set off that web. So I think in general gameplay, she probably should stay here in S-, but in top tier gameplay, I might really want to put her lower just because, once again, you can annihilate that web when she's carrying someone. Once again, guys, if you have any points or counterpoints or you disagree or anything, drop it in the comments, I'd love to see why. But that's my thought process so far, and here is a minus where we're going to see probably the biggest change, and that's going to be old Frederick the Diddler. Now, I want to put him up here, but then also, like, Freddy and Spirit are both, like, rage quit. Like, well, not really rage quits, just defeat quit. Like, you're not having a good time against these two. But although Freddy is really, really strong, and that's undeniable, I don't think he's quite as strong as Spirit, because she has, you know, the really fast movement speed for map pressure. Now, of course, Freddy has the teleport, but, you know, cooldown and all of that. Now, that makes, like, balance-wise, I want to put Freddy here, because I feel like he is just, he's so strong, but obviously he lacks map pressure to Spirit's degree. He obviously has map pressure, but then at the same time, I'm gonna, like, your average player is gonna quit against a Spirit because there's no chance in hell. But out of these three, they're not gonna quit against Billy, most won't quit against Nurse, and most will quit against Freddy. So I feel like from my experience, Freddy's probably here, but judging from the community's sort of, you know, interpreted feedback from gameplay, he's up there. Now, I don't know where to put this because I don't know what will please you guys, the viewers, the most, because once again, I think he's probably here, but judging from people's reaction in game, I'd say up there. So I'll put him here just because I think that's my opinion and how I view it, like, because he's not, you know, constantly zipping around the map, and he does have to set up those snares even though it takes, you know, no time at all. I'll leave him like that. We might change it later on in this tier list, but for now, we'll leave it like that. Now, let's see, A+. Myers, Pig, and Gordon. Okay, Myers, I don't think there's much to say about that. Like, he's a stealth killer, and he's really good at his job. Most chases are going to start with him popping out on someone and instantly mouse wanting them, so they start off with half health. Tier 3 is really strong against bad players. One Tier 3 can win you the match, but against good players, Tier 3 isn't really, like, valuable. I mean, you can get that one where you 99% it and then use it when you're about to, you know, touch someone, but is it amazing? No. He's above average, he's good, the stealth is nice, Tier 3's not ideal. My value in Myers is actually his passive vault speed. It's not huge, but it's something. Pig, her main ability being the crouch/dash combo. I used to love it back in the day. It used to be my favorite thing to mind game with Pig, but players learned. No one falls for it anymore. People just abandon the loop, so her dash is worthless. The crouch is worthless because they nerfed it back in the day. One of her 9 nerfs made crouching even worse than it originally was. I'm going to put Gordon here because his ability to zone is really, really nice. It makes him you know, it makes him able to cut off people from a lot of optimal directions that they may want to go on. He does do really well at Shack as well, which is a great thing. But in terms of that, the teleportation isn't ideal. And I feel like if someone who's good at spinning can actually juke the dash if it's max range. So I think A+ is fine. And plus, if we take the next tier up, like, who's scarier, Huntress or Gordon? Definitely Huntress. So I think because of that, I'll leave him here. Now, average. This is your baseline. If the game was balanced, every killer would be an A, and A would be like completely viable. But you know, that's an ideal world that's not going to happen. Even League of Legends doesn't have every character an A. Anyway, so let's say Wraith. He has great map pressure if you go Windstorm add-ons, and he does have some great sneak attack value from, you know, the add-ons that mess with his bells audio, but I just don't think they're that good. You can use it once to maybe get a hit to start a chase off, so the same way Myers does, but this is less guaranteed, and Myers' one isn't even guaranteed. This is less guaranteed, and once you're in a chase, you're probably not going to get value from it. The add-ons where you break things faster when you're invisible aren't good. If you're saving pallets for later, you know, to break whilst you're invisible, good survivors are going to reuse them and fuck your day up. So therefore, and you can't afford to, you know, cloak, break, and uncloak. That's like twice as long as breaking it normally. So that's not good value. Trapper, his ability to end chases if he zones well are great, but obviously he wastes a lot of time setting up traps, so he has no relevant map pressure. I personally hate Trapper, but I think he's probably average, to be fair. Plagues, she's a noob. She's a noob destroyer, really. Like, people who don't know what they're doing, they're going to cleanse and she's going to puke on them and they're going to get rinsed. But if they just accept, if decent players just accept the fact that they'll be broken and don't give her, you know, upgraded puke, they'll be fine. I know she starts with one base kit now and also has an add-on to give her additional, but once again, even with those starting corrupt pulls, you just want to wait it out and stay broken. The more pulls you give her, the stronger she is. So literally, even if you're all broken and she takes her starting one, just take the downs. You don't want to give her more. Doctor, he has great, you know, chase break, well, not breaking, but like, he has great cock block potential. I think that's the only term to put it. The way he can stop you from vaulting and dropping pallets and stuff a lot of the time. I think theoretically he should be A+, but in actuality, he's bugged. He's just straight up bugged. When I play him, I'll shock people, and even though they'll be, you know, blatantly still shocked, they'll happily vault or drop a pallet. And I've even started having it when I play against him. I'll be shocked, I'll see the red icon in the bottom corner of my screen, and I'll still be able to do everything completely normal. I'm fairly certain that his shock literally doesn't do anything right now. If it does, then it's inconsistent, because I've even experienced it myself now where his shock doesn't stop you from doing anything, so that means he doesn't actually have an ability. But nonetheless, even with that, the ability to his E, his secondary ability, that like huge shock, that's nice, so I'd say he's average there. Clown's been buffed, didn't do anything. If gens were slowed down, or, you know, additional objectives were given to survivors, Clown would be fucking like top tier. I'm telling you right now. This sort of says, like, if you guys want to elaborate in the comments, then please feel free to do so, but I've asked hundreds of people, like, what is the counter to Clown? Because as soon as he gasses you, you have to drop that pallet. You can't loop it. You can't, you're too slow to mind game as well. Only really bad clowns are going to be mind gamed, especially with Bleach. How you play against Clown is you just camp pallets and drop them. Because as soon as you're gassed, you're not reaching a pallet. So that's that. So what everyone says, just drop the pallet and do gens. So the counter to Clown is gens, is gen rushing, effectively. So if gens don't go so fast, you're going to be left without pallets, you know, 3 minutes into the match. And this killer's gonna fucking... wrong person. This killer's gonna fucking skyrocket. But obviously right now, gens are fast, so he stays there. Even with that buff he had. Okay, A-, Legion. Yeah. There's nothing to say about that. Legion's terrible. He's fucking terrible. He gets a guaranteed injury, and then he doesn't have a power. And then, oh yeah, and he also has to get stunned after that guaranteed injury. So, is it even worth it? Maybe you're better off going for a normal mouse 1. I don't know. The add-ons are trash. Legion's trash. There's not much to say. Now, here is a fucking huge problem. James in below average. That's not right, is it? That's not right, is it, ladies and gentlemen? How many of you commented already? As soon as the video started, you see James down there and you commented before even waiting. So, James was fresh out the pen when I did this. I think Gordon was still in public test build, in fact. So yeah, James was kind of fresh back then, I believe. So, this was based off of us trying to play James the way behavior intended us to. Plus he also had the weird sounds when he crouched as well, all of those problems. And the fact that people could, you know, break him super easily out of his ability. So this, James was trash back in the day because we played him the way behavior told us to. And the thing is, you have to realise we understand the game better than behavior do. That's not to be rude to them because, you know, on a personal level they're amazing and they do care about their game. But you don't play him how you're meant to. You stealth, don't stalk, and mind game with the stealth. You build James full cooldown and just mind game the shit out of people. So, I think James is a pretty strong killer in terms of just all-round gameplay. Against bad players, they're not going to look behind them, so your mind games aren't really valuable. But they're probably going to be easy stalks, so, you know, you'll be playing permanently one-hit down mode. So that's really cool for low-rank players. Against high-tier players, the mind games are super valuable, and James turns the game into a skill-based game. Like with Spirit, it's just, oh, I press right mouse button and you're fucking dead because you can't do anything. With James, it's like, I right-click, and now the mind games are fair, because base game, Red Stain and Heartbeat, mind games are in the survivor's favour. They can see round corners, they can see your stain, whereas you can't see shit, you just have to assume where they are. Mind games are in the survivor's favour by default, but with James, when you hide that heartbeat and most importantly hide your stain, you bring that mind game to a level playing field almost, apart from the fact survivors can see round corners. So that makes him a much more valuable killer for high tier play. Now, he doesn't have much in terms of map pressure, so gens are going to fuck him. And obviously, if you are against a super good player, he's not going to fall for your mind games and you're just going to lose. But if you're super good as well, you can win the mind games. So I think for most players, James is probably A+, but I think for properly high tier players who can mind game like a motherfucker, I'm going to put James up here. Because the ability to get rid of your red stain is fucking nuts. It's fucking sick. It's just so nice. It's so nice. I could be a bit biased because I just fucking love my mind games, and that's how I win my matches with you know, non-nurse killers. It's just, in my opinion, DBD should be based around this sort of mind game shit. Because like Spirit is no brain, doing gens is no brain. You know what I mean? Like setting snares, no brain. But mind games, it's in the name. It's all in your mind. It's just about who's the better, smarter, and more understanding player. Obviously, unless you get a map like Hawkins where it's just the killer lunges and you die. But that's the map, that's not the killer. Anyway, let's head back down to here. Okay, Bubba at the weakest killer in the game. Before he got buffed, for those of you who don't know, but you probably all do know, he got buffed. He got buffed recently. But before he got buffed, I stand by this position 100 million%. He was fucking shit. I would have picked Legion over Bubba any day of the week. That's why Zimbabwe Bubba was born. The same way that we used to have memes with Freddy. We like to, you know, have fun by playing the weakest killer and making, you know, jokes about it. Because you know you're not going to win, so we make our own fun. That's how Zimbabwe Bubba was born. But obviously now, is he that tier? No. I'd say he's average, I think. For now, it's early days. It's still kind of fresh. I don't think Gordon... Sorry, Bubba's much different now. The chainsaw is nicer to use, and he is a lot more lethal, but the way that maps and palette flows are laid out, you're still going to loop fine. I think the chainsaw will really just, you know, cut off one less loop because he gets additional movement speed from it. So I think from a strong loop, you'll get one less loop from it. This is early days, so I'm not completely solid on this, but I feel like he's about average now. I don't think he's shit, but he's not good either. I still wouldn't take him into a, you know, a high tier environment. And for now, I think I'm happy with this. Let's take a look at some of the new killers. So, Oni. Oni is a highly debated character, to be fair. Like, you don't expect much of him, but he's highly debated. NA players fucking adore Oni, or hate him if you're survivors. They think Oni's like Billy but better, and EU seems to think he's Billy but trash. I think he's Billy but better. No, I think that's a very too cut and dry way of doing it. I think he's a different version of Billy. He's better in some things, worse in other things. And by that I mean his lethal ability with the club is fucking nuts. That shit hits you round corners. You don't even have to wind it up fully. You know when you hold mouse 1 and you see the hammer rise above your head? You don't actually have to do that. You can just fucking like hold it for half a second, if that, and even though the hammer's barely raised, it still one hits. I don't know if that's a bug or what, but people don't realise that. You can pretty much just, he's effectively just tier 3 Myers in that, but, you know, with bonus movement speed. Obviously, he lacks that map pressure when he's not in his ability, which is what Billy has over him. So Billy is more pressure oriented, and Oni is just way more lethal. Right now, Oni is bugged, and if he gained his ability via, you know, passive recharge and not via mouse 1, he actually can't activate it. So in that scenario, he's like fucking trash. But in fact, you know what I mean. But obviously, aside from that bug, because it is actively preventable, when he's not bugged, I think for now, I think this is more of a fair place to put him. Because I don't think he's better than Billy or worse than him. I just think he excels in different things. I think he's a Billy that took a different upgrade tree, if you're thinking about like an RPG or something. But now that I'm looking at it, like, these 4 side by side looks fucking weird to me. I might have to change it a bit. That's what I'm saying at the start, you know. I think we might have to change things a bit. Deathslinger. Deathslinger is oppressive. The ability, he can zone way better than Gordon can zone. He can zone like a motherfucker. But because he has slow movement speed, he has no map pressure at all. His range is limited, so that doesn't make up for how slow he is. So really, he's very oppressive, but he just has no fucking pressure. So sure, when you're in a chase with him, he might be able to kill you quickly. Might. But you're just going to do gens before then, because he just has no mobility, no pressure. I want to say average. I was originally going to put him below average, but like, he's better than Legion any fucking day of the week, any day of the week. And like, although he has no map pressure, he does have a lot of oppression in chase, which is probably, you know, enough to warrant him being average. Deathslinger, he's fucking horrible to play against, might I add. There's some serious animation desync issues with him. The fact he shoots you before, you know, even pulling up his gun. That's a fucking issue. Like, behavior, you have to fix that. That's huge animation desync issues. Makes him a fucking nightmare to play against. But aside from, you know, that clunky bullshit, he's not that good, I don't think. He's oppressive, but lacks pressure. Speaking of oppressive, we now have the most oppressive killer in the game, Pyramid Head. He's Gordon and Deathslinger in terms of oppression, but like, not as much downsides. Like, they just took downsides away. Like, he's as oppressive as Deathslinger, except from he's fast and not slow. and he's as oppressive as Gordon, but he can shoot through fucking walls. And with Gordon, if you even like clip 1 pixel of a wall, that's it, your pounce is fucked. This killer is a fucking annoyance, to say the least. I'm going to put him here for now, but I think, yeah, I don't think he's on par with these lot, but he's a fucking problem. Like with James, if I died to James, I think fair fucking play, you beat me. If I died to Huntress, I think fair play, good shot. I obviously didn't play loot properly. But with Deathslinger, if I die, I'm like, what was I meant to fucking do? Cunt shoots me through walls, pallets are worth nothing. You know, that's why everyone bitched about Nurse. Pallets are worth nothing. Pallets are worth nothing with this guy, sorry. Most of the time he wants to zone you and probably won't even try doing the ranged attack. And the thing is, you have to try dodging left and right, otherwise you will die. Because he can react and just either choose to shoot or not to, depending on how you react. He's oppressive as fuck. His cages, in my opinion, are a downside to him, because 99% of the time, he will just teleport them right next to a teammate and they'll insta unhook, and he's got no pressure from it. But in terms of his torment trail / ranged shot, whatever the fuck it is, man, that's oppressive as fuck. Like, oh. It's still early days, so maybe we'll develop more ways of countering him, but I think for the most part it is, when you see him put his sword into the floor, you have to start like trying to juke. You can't just, loop normally, because loops are predictable. He's gonna just fucking ranged attack it. And if you do start juking left and right, he's gonna mouse one you, because you're probably not gonna be taking an optimal path. So it's like you're fucked if you do and you're fucked if you don't. It's kind of annoying. But he doesn't have, that immense map pressure that a lot of these other killers have. And I think about it now, looking at the S tier killers, like at first it's a weird pairing, but then you see they all have immense map pressure and immense in-chase capabilities, so I guess that's up there. And the only reason Spirit is S+ and not S is because there literally isn't a counter to her. Like, there literally is not. I know some people try and say there is, but there's not. Some people try to say, oh, look at her shards. When she, like, if her shards change, she's actually going invisible or some shit. Her shards don't fucking change. I've had someone say that to me, like, oh, you could tell when she's phasing or not by looking at the shards. And then we've gone on a screen share, and I've said, show me where it is. And they've been like, oh, I don't see it now. That's really weird. Yeah, no shit, because it doesn't fucking exist. So there literally isn't a counter to Spirit. Theoretically, it would be the sound of her footsteps, but 99% of the time you don't hear it. This tier list is looking a lot healthier than the last one. The fact that there's no one in these two tiers is nice. In fact though, Legion below average, I feel like Legion should just be bad. Or do you guys think that's too harsh? I know there's a lot of people that love Legion. Thing is, a lot of people that play Legion, they value him in assuming, I'll frenzy one and frenzy them all, so they're all injured and they all have to mend. But against good players, that's not going to happen. Like, sure, against trash players, you'll get that easy value, but most players know not to group, and a lot of the time you won't be able to reach people, even if they are fairly close, because they'll all scatter at the same time. And the distance that they gain from you having to run left to kill or to injure one guy, then run the opposite direction to hit the other guy, your ability's probably not going to last. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. A lot of people like to pair Thanatophobia. Trash perk, doesn't do shit. It's no value at all. Even at permanent 4 stacks, it's not worth. I want to put him at B, to be fair, because he's literally fucking trash, but maybe that's too harsh. Let me know how you guys think. But there you guys have it. I think this actually isn't too bad. I think this isn't too bad. Now, obviously, there are disparities within the tier. Like, certain, like, A tier killers, like, fucking Doctor is better than, like, fucking Plague, But at the same time, I don't think he's on par with these lot. I'm not too sure. I think this is alright. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you comment down below, you at least listen to the reasoning we've got here, because even if you don't agree with the placements, you can probably understand how I came up with these, based on my reasoning. So Let me know what you agree with and disagree with and how you would change this if you would. But I think based on the examples and reasoning I've given, I think this is fairly fair for now. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, leave your comments down below. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We have lots of fun videos on the channel. Most of our videos consist of like funny shit, like trolling and, you know, just fun shit. We don't like to take DBD too seriously anymore. But this is for those of you who do like to look at it from a serious standpoint. Once again, thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one.